All right, joining us now is our chief medical editor, Dr. Corey Hebert from New Orleans.
So good to have you. How are you hanging in there?
Ooh, I'm fighting the good fight, but it's tough at times, but we're good. We're hanging in there.
All right,
What about
so
you? Everybody's good
we're
there?
good.
All
We're
good.
good. Yeah, thanks.
Okay,
So
good.
the economy's reopening. We're hearing all about Georgia from a medical standpoint. What do you think?
That's the worst thing that could ever happen because I think I remember recently the governor of Georgia said that he didn't really know that the virus could be spread asymptomatically. Remember that? Nobody should ever be listening to anyone that is not a, a scientist when it comes to opening up a city or a state or a country. You have to listen to a scientist only. And at this point, they're not. They're listening to politicians and businessmen to open up the country. And that's just not smart. It's just not.
Well, Doctor, we're talking about Georgia. We're also talking about South Carolina and Tennessee, the meat packing facility in South Dakota. There's a mall that's trying to reopen in Nebraska. How irresponsible is it as far as not just the people going back to work and protesting, but as far as the people that they're going to affect going out there? They don't know what they're going to be spreading.
Exactly. By and large, when I see the people that are out there doing all the protesting, I don't see them social distancing. I don't see them wearing masks. I don't see anything like that. The CDC director came out today to say that this looks really bad for the fall. And if we know that, I mean, look, if you just look at the numbers right now, we didn't do what we were supposed to do during Easter. Nobody did. They went out, they had fun, they had all kind of parties and barbecues. And so the states are starting to see the numbers go up. But what I will tell you is that the issue is that the numbers of in these states where the numbers are, where we know that the numbers are supposed to go up after Easter, they're not testing as much. So let's say, for example, the state of Louisiana right now, the place that did so much, partying and having all these parties during Easter, they stopped testing in one of the major facilities. They were doing all the testing. So what is that going to look like? It's going to look like they're not having a lot more not more cases because they're not doing the testing. Remember, always to know whether you have positive cases, you have to do the testing. And if they're not doing the testing, then it won't really matter. It won't show the positive cases, but it doesn't mean that people won't have it. And the death rate, that's why I've been telling you guys this the whole time. The rate of new cases is all dependent on the amount of tests that you have. But the death rate is not variable. And that's why we need to look at that a little bit more closely than we look at the cases, the new cases.
So how do you think this affects the African American community? I mean, obviously a place like Atlanta, Georgia, high black population. Does this make things even worse for black communities, this reopening?
It does, and the economic pivot to open things up is purely not an African American concept, and we know that because what's happening is who are the people that are going to be in the front lines in these businesses? We know that the people that are serving the food, the people that are doing all the work, the cleaning, all that stuff, all those people are Latin people and black people, and so you open up a restaurant, who's going to be serving? Who's going to be washing dishes? It's going to be African Americans, so we're going to be disproportionately affected again. Meanwhile, other people that are going to be making the money from the restaurant are going to be raking it all in the dough, and then the people that are being exposed are people that are not even getting hazard pay. We're calling them heroes, and don't get me wrong, they are heroes. But the onus needs to be on us not to say you're a hero and you're just sacrificing and that's what you get. No, you should be getting paid double. A hero should be getting paid double, in my opinion. If you're going to do it that way. You know what I mean? It's not as easy as just calling somebody a hero and saying, good luck with that. If you're going to put yourself at risk like that, then you need to be compensated in some way. And these people are not going to be compensated, and they are going to start to die.
Yeah, that was a great point that Governor Cuomo brought up. That attaboys are great, but take care of these folks while you're at it.
That's right.
One more thing, as far as testing is concerned, from what I can see, only 1% of the population has been tested. So how do we even have a roadmap as to when we need to reopen the economy here?
We don't. We don't until we have a SARS-CoV-2 IgG specific antibody test. There's really no way to know when you can open up this up scientifically. I mean, we have projections and we have these models and we have all these things. And granted, those are really good things. And that's what we have to use to know how we're going to proceed. But the only way that we can really know is we got to look at the persisting antibodies from the very specific SARS-CoV-2, which is coronavirus, the one that we're not talking about right now, not just a generic one, because some of these antibody tests right now are for generic coronavirus. Everybody's going to be positive IgG, IgM for generic coronavirus. Then we've all had a cold. You see what I'm saying? So we have to have very specific antibody testing for coronavirus SARS-CoV-2, and that is the one that's causing the problem and causing COVID-19. So, you know, I think it's just important that we recognize that that all of this is new, but the things that we may not know what we should do, but we have to know what we shouldn't do. And what we shouldn't do is open up anything right now before we have a real handle on this disease.
And Dr. Hebert, one more thing. What about those at-home testing kits? We're starting to hear more about those that are coming, that people can get the kits at home and then send it in for results. Will the African American community benefit by having those at all?
Well, we know the African American community, by and large, doesn't have the kind of money nor the time to spend on at-home testing. They're not going to do that, especially the people that are at most risk or the people that are downtrodden, living in very small, close-knit communities that don't have the luxury of social distancing, that have an increase in obesity, increase in diabetes, and increase in heart disease. Can I just throw something else out there? I know it's coming close to time, but people are so scared that they're going to get COVID-19 by going to a hospital that the EMS rates are going through the roof on dead-on arrivals because people are not going to the hospital because they think they're going to get COVID-19 at the hospital. Please, folks, do not do that. The number one cause of death in the United States is not COVID-19. It's heart disease. You must go to the hospital. You have a bigger chance of getting hit by a car and dying than dying of COVID-19 in America right now. Okay, so let's be very clear about that. The thing that's killing Black people is heart disease and stroke. So you need to go to the hospital. The hospitals are doing a very good job right now of separating the patients out. And at the beginning, it was kind of sketchy, but now it's okay. Please go to the hospital if you have shortness of breath or chest pain. Please go to the hospital.
All right, good advice. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Dr.
Doctor.
Hebert.
Thank you.